in the Headway hot seat this week, we have Tim Richens, and he has found himself a new life, a new way of life after brain injury. Tim, thank you so much for joining me and talking to me.
It's a pleasure.
First of all, talk to me about the event that you say changed your life.
Well, it was a normal Thursday evening. And I'm going to use the word normal very loosely there. It was a normal Thursday evening. I went out, watched some darts, quite innocent evening, decided to go into town, got a taxi because took the sensible route, got in a taxi. He shouldn't have been there. Turns out he was moonlighting. I got in the taxi, I was half in. It drove off the taxi because he was panicking, because he knew he shouldn't have been there. As a rate of knots, and I'm doing this from memory because from what I've recalled and what I've been told, because I don't recall any of it. I then came out of the taxi, landed on my head, was put in a recovery position, went to hospital, didn't know any of this. Basically, then I spent 7 to 10 days, that bit I can't remember, in a induced coma, and then several more weeks in hospital. And then I came out and resumed life. However, and that's where the however comes in, it isn't the life I had before. So,
how aware of that were you at that point? Had they told you then you'd obviously had this brain injury? Had they told you what to expect?
No, I was in hospital. Obviously, the coma state was, I wasn't aware of anything. However, once I recovered my consciousness, I went to Taunton Hospital, and I guess even I was just going through I know how it works because I've broken bones before. I've had operations before. I'll just get better and I'll go back and life will carry on where it was the day I went to the darts. Oh, and by the way, who won the darts? I can't remember. So that was really it. My awareness was non-existent, but I guessed I knew best. So I knew what was going to happen going forward. However, I was very, very wrong in my assumption.
So talk to me about what life was like then. What were you experiencing that was so different from the Tim that had gone to the darts?
Well, the pre-accident Tim was, a very stereotypical male of my age type person. I've gone through my life, with all the usual ups and downs and done all the things I'm supposed to do, ticked all the boxes along the way, in terms of my development. I was busy running my own company. I was busy managing football teams and coaching football. That's been my life. And I genuinely thought that the day I came out of hospital, which is why I was so keen to get out before I was really ready, and that's something I have learned, is that because I'm okay again now, because in all areas of life, it was back to what it was before. I could walk, I could drive a car, I could hear, I could see, I had no over speeching issues, so all the things that I would have perceived as not being the norm were back in place. I felt a bit tired in the afternoon. Yes, I couldn't smell anything. Yes, I couldn't, at the time, I couldn't taste anything. But to all intents and purposes, right, let's get on with life. Came out of hospital and wow, it hit me at that point. I recall sitting in my house the day after I came out of hospital thinking, well, that was the experience. That was an experience. That's all it was just a pure experience. Yes, I can tick it and turn around and make a meal of how ill I was and one thing and another. But what I actually was really ill. But because no one had ever taught me about brain injury or talked to me about what it actually meant, I had a perception based on society back then. But no one had ever told me, so I wasn't ready for it. I had some good support from people but putting the whole package together was a really, really difficult area. So, came out, resumed my employment, resumed my football team, resumed everything else. And within 12 months, gave it all up, gave up everything because I couldn't cope, which is also another big difficult thing for a person of my age to admit. I can't cope. It's like I could almost hear the previous generation saying to me, show it the backbone, come on, get on with it. You're all right now. And then the reaction I felt in public was also a very, very difficult one, because people assume that you look okay, you are okay. And I know that the often used expression, not all injuries and disabilities are visible, is used a lot, but it's so true. And I experienced it. But the biggest challenge was fitting back into society. Because like I say, I and also everybody around me thought, well, that was a bit of a scary experience, because I was declared dead at the time. And my family were told, but the thing that has driven, and when I talk about the family, that whole thing is that, all this happened, I was asleep. I don't recall any of it. However, my family, the people that have been brought up and want to provide for and protect, he won't survive the night. They got called to the family room the next morning. Now, all of us in our family, when we get called to the family room, have been given some fairly bad news, and they'd assumed I'd gone. So, that was very tough for them to deal with. Didn't affect me at the time, because obviously I was asleep. But when and since, I've stopped and thought about it, and I've got a lot of time to think now, that has driven a huge guilt in me that I don't like, and has made me react in, I would say, a childish way, in that, I will feel so bad about it. I feel like I've let people down. I don't like that, because they're the people that count most for me.
So how have you come, because your accident was 2013, how have you come almost a decade to this man I see before me, who's taking on a really positive role in hoping to raise awareness of brain injury with others? And why have you chosen to do that?
Well, I think how I've come there is by learning from great support. It's not a lot different from my pre-life, which is, I'm not an original thought person. I just take the best of what I hear from everybody else and try and put it together into something that people can use. And that's very much what I'm trying to do with this exercise, where I say, well, actually, I haven't got your answers. Here's what I did. And that's why in my presentation, for example, I'll talk about my accident. Yeah, great. That's me. And this is what it actually did to me. That's more like what it means to you. But actually, now let's talk about what it means to you. So mine was a brain injury caused by accident. Yours can be a change of circumstance, but the issues and emotions are very different. So all I've done is take on board the great support I've had from pretty much every walk of life. My solicitor was very good at getting me in touch with the right support team. But even that had its challenges. One of my support worker was a female. Now, I went through a phase initially, and again, it's a classic brain injury type scenario where I could appear, and I didn't mean to be, but I was inappropriate. My wife then worried that, what are you going to say to a lady? It's like, I didn't mean it like that. Yeah, but they don't know that. So I've had to learn from almost some painful experiences myself, which caused me embarrassment, because the thought of being inappropriate was like, oh my God, how can you do that? So I've always been very careful of how I presented myself, even pre-accident. I was brought up with a classic mother scenario of, what will other people think? And we all say, I don't care, but we do. And so therefore, I was bringing this forward. I couldn't almost, and I talk about my out-of-body experience, I couldn't almost stop myself doing it. I'm like, well, I'm a natural joker, Mickey taker, whatever it happens to be. And so I'm going to say, I say the things that people think but don't say. That's me. Now I could control that pre-accident, but post-accident, it was much more difficult to control. So I was taking experiences. That's how I got there, by learning and making mistakes. I made some mistakes.
So doing these presentations for you, it to raise awareness of what people have gone, what you have been through, and like you say, using some of those experiences of headway and other people getting it, because that's what I know you found the most helpful from the headway group. What do you want those people, that one thing that you want people to leave your presentation feeling or knowing about brain injury that could improve the life of all brain injury survivors?
That there's hope. Simply put, there's hope, and there is a way to make things better, but not go away, because it doesn't go away. I'm not going to sit and tell people, oh yeah, you do this. You know, like I say, if I'm a doctor dealing with broken bones, I can get you an end result. With a brain injury, no one can get you an end result, not even you. But if you go away with a feeling that there's a way to manage within it, whatever the situation is, and, you know, we underplay emotions. We underplay emotions because we're scared of them, a lot of people, particularly blokes, scared of emotions, because showing emotions is showing weakness. Dealing with emotions is dealing with a weakness. If you deal with a weakness, you're a weak person. Rubbish. I'm a very private crier. But my way of dealing with it, is to make a joke of everything. I do that. Not because I'm insensitive, but because I'm actually ultra sensitive. More people are. So if people can come away from listening up thinking, one thing that I've said, it's not everything, because my situation is very, very 100% Tim Richens scenario. However, if you've got 1% that you can improve as a result of it, it's achieved the basic minimum.